Greetings, internet world. You're in the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Wherry. Let's talk about Puscifer and their record, Normal Isn't. They released it on February 6th. This is the fifth studio album for the eccentric experimental rockers and their follow-up to 2020's Existential Reckoning. And I've got to admit, this is the first project involving Maynard James Keenan that has been released since I started this channel, and I'm really stoked to have an opportunity to talk about him and this project in particular. Maynard recently spoke about how he feels Puscifer has been marginalized alongside his work with Tool and A Perfect Circle, relegated to third side project status, and I couldn't agree with him more. He's actually kind of been trolling people recently, posting older material and then calling them out for not knowing those songs have been around for a decade or more. But do your due diligence. Just look it up on the internet. It's not hard. It's somewhat juvenile. Yes, it's snarky, and Maynard would probably be the first to admit it, but that's why I love him, and to each their own. And there's no denying its effectiveness in calling out supposed fans for their lack of due diligence. It's also his way of airing his grievances towards the lackluster reception of this project, one that has just as much to offer as Tool or APC. He created a bit of a mountain himself, I'll say, with a name like Puscifer and album titles like V is for Vagina and Money Shot, but underneath that charade of sophomoric names is a body of work that offers a compelling sonic experience that's enhanced by his laconic and witty perspectives of the world. What I love about Puscifer is that this is Maynard's project, founded initially as a solo project and serving as a, quote, playground for the various voices in his head. And there's a different dynamic that exists as a result of that. With Tool, he works with arguably three of the most talented musicians out there on their respective instruments. They build the compositions, and then Maynard shows up to add the lyrics. His stage presence, when you see them live, I think, says it all. He just sits there and lurks in the shadows in the background without a spotlight. Fully aware, though, that the band doesn't thrive simply because he's the lead singer. It's an organism, and he humbly plays his role to give it life. And APC is Billy Howerdale's project. He was writing the music beforehand and actually wanted Elizabeth Fraser of Cocteau Twins to be the lead singer before he got involved with Maynard. There's no denying the massive credibility that Maynard's name lent to that project, but it's never wholly been his own. In the previously mentioned quote, he goes on to say that the project is, quote, a space with no clear or discernible goals. With Puscifer, we get an artist who has set out to, I think, execute a vision, and it's evolved into an incredible partnership with Karina Round and Matt Mitchell. And Normal Isn't is a record that proves that quote contrary. This album feels like the culmination of a vision, a band that has figured out what works and what doesn't over a couple of decades now, with a clear goal of how alternative rock should sound in this day and age. The record was produced by Matt Mitchell, who has been at the helm for every project with assistance from Maynard and Karina, and they all do a marvelous job of allowing the instrumentation on each one of these songs to breathe. This record sounds amazing, in my opinion. The album features contributions from many familiar names, including Gunnar Olsen and Sarah Jones, who return to handle work on the drums, and their diverse bodies of work provide the versatility that I think is needed to execute these intricate compositions. Danny Carey makes an appearance as well on the penultimate track, 7-1, which also features Tony Levin on bass. And I've got to add, if you've never seen Danny live with Tool or in any capacity, you are missing out on witnessing one of the most incredible musicians of our time. Greg Edwards also provides contributions on bass alongside Matt, rounding out a rhythm section that brilliantly handles complex time signatures and lots of open space that make these songs riveting and worth revisiting countless times over and over again. Puscifer is an outfit that finds Maynard indulging in his electronic appetites, and Normal Isn't draws on industrial, post-punk, and goth rock, as well as funk and soul, which really provides the foundation for all of the killer grooves throughout this record. But there is also a ton of noteworthy guitar work here as well, maybe even a little more than ever before on previous records. It's a cohesive collection of songs that smolder and unfold through unique time signatures in patient and arresting fashion, giving the moments of aggression bountiful impact, especially on tracks like A Public Stoning. Songs like Self Evident and Impetuous build towards captivating pinnacles, while the quiet parts showcases the power these tracks hold in their measured proliferation. The songs thrive on their minimalism and restraint, a key feature that evinces the sophistication of each musician's performance while enhancing the thematic tension that builds through each one of these tracks. Normal Isn't is probably the most political and introspective the band has been to date. And as Keenan commented in promotional materials, he says it, quote, reflects this time we are living in. As storytellers and artists, our job is to observe, interpret, and report. We take in our environment and share what we see, and what we see around us does not appear normal, not by a long shot, end quote. Thrust is a stunning opener. It's all in the name, lamenting our lost civility in the online landscape, while Self-Evident addresses the addiction that people find in confrontation without any intent of finding solutions. He reflects on the dichotomous nature of adolescence on the title track, the compounding alienation that suppresses the optimism of youth while tackling the toxicity of the alpha male persona on Mantastic. There's a difference between being a man and just being a dick. Maynard is his usual cunning and snarky self, his reproach often petulant and seemingly no different than the issues he critiques, but we live in an age where you must scream above the noise to be heard, and I think that's the brilliant irony of it all. His writing has always been inspired by genuine intentions, I'd say. The desire for people to be aware when they are anything but. And it always takes me back to the speech he gave during the Arizona Centennial celebration. When he talks about the different voices that influence him, he's talking about his head, his heart, and his gut, and how that led him ultimately to Arizona, amongst many things. He goes on to say that the desert is equal parts hostile and enlightening, and it's exactly like his lyrical approach. And he finishes by saying that in this day and age, we have to be willing to work harder for less. It's an ugly reality, and it's a tough one, I think, for most people to wrap their heads around, given the fact that just about every industrial advancement we've seen over the last century is geared towards convenience. Normal Isn't is a record full of haunting and sinister compositions, a hostile environment that lures the listener in with its harrowing mystique, with the hope that they may find enlightenment and renewed purpose on the other side. The album opens with Thrust. There's a slow, unnerving build to open this one up as it sets the stage immediately for what the rest of the album is going to sound like. It plays with a lot of space, starting with electronic percussion and a thick bass lick. Guitars build in, followed by vocals that shift with the various movements. The harmonies are solid, along with the unique call and response vocals from Maynard and Karina. The drums throughout this one are splendid, and the energetic push halfway through gives the song an engaging burst of life. Your second track is your title track, Normal Isn't. Fuzzy electronics and vocals usher in a mid-tempo breakbeat and a sharp, open-note electric riff. This one establishes a funky groove immediately, and I love the slow build, patiently piecing the elements together that culminate in a solid finish of electronic rock with synth pop elements. The mood is sinister, and it definitely, in my opinion, has a big Depeche Mode. I love this song for that reason. Track number 3 is entitled Bad Wolf. It opens with grinding, undulating bass and big drums that provide the perfect contrast with spaced out rhythm. It remains fairly minimal, with sparse guitar and electronic components that allow the strong vocal melodies to really be the focal point of this one. Steely guitars take over in the coda, building in with electronics to create a finish that just brings this simmering track to a boil. I love the way that this song builds. Self-Evident is your fourth song. It's going to lead out with warlike drums and fluttering guitar that's heavy but restrained. A light chugging riff and driving percussion give this one a big lift, a great moment for a change of pace on the record. There's minimal movement that slows things down for a bit. Building the tension for the driving rhythm to return on this one has a really solid impact. The heavy restraint is incredibly effective on this track. Track number 5 is entitled "The Public Stoning." It begins with an ominous bass lick that captures the foreboding weight of its title. The bass shifts into a great lick with fuzzy, horror-inspired synths before the drums break in to boost the momentum. It's a haunting track, enhanced by the industrial qualities that carry it, and I dig the abrupt shift into a funky coda to finish this one out. Sixth song is entitled "The Quiet Parts." Opens with lots of synth layers before the drums kick in to provide a little bit of energy to the track. I dig the movement where the synths drop and the rhythm provides the perfect stage for Maynard and Karina to harmonize. And the movement where Karina is on her own on this track is just so rousing. And I love the way that it leads into the big finish. Lots of galloping instrumentation. It's well done. Mantastic is your 7th song. This one opens with a haunting aura courtesy of the thick fluttering bass element and the complementary ice synths that drone around it. The drums play with lots of open space to create the groove while vocal melodies unfold around sparse guitar elements. There's a shapeless movement that follows and ultimately seeds itself to the careening instrumentation that finds stability around that chugging bass lick. I really dig Maynard and Karina's chemistry on this song as well. Your 8th track is entitled "Pendulum." You got undulating sirenth-like synths and light electronic percussion that lead this one to open into a shapeless intro focused on the vocal melodies. Percussive elements develop gradually, waxing and waning through different movements before the song finds its feet with the hook, building to the coda and transitioning right into your 9th song, "Impetuous." And I love the spelling on this one. It's a nice little touch. This one leads off with buoyant staccato synths and vocals before moving into an industrial body of fuzzy, droning synths and light stomping percussion. I really dig the guitars that are incorporated throughout this one. They're simple, but have a big impact on the song as it finds a killer groove in the back half to finish. Your penultimate track is entitled "7-1," closing things out, kind of in a way. You get the most blistering groove on this record, courtesy of Mr. Danny Carey. I love that he shows up. And he uses a spoken word piece from Ian Ross, who is Atticus Ross's father, interesting enough. Fluttering synths dance around this while a sparse bass lick lands with perfection, eventually achieving a legato style. There's a shapeless breakdown before the track builds into an expansive guitar-driven coda, and then your final song, your 11th track, is entitled "The Algorithm." It's the Sesanta live mix, a live track from his 60th birthday celebration, and it opens with a searing guitar riff that evolves into a hard-edged rocker with a number of excellent movements and tempo changes. The vocals from Karina are stellar as well on this one, and it's a fine summation of the themes that the band tackle throughout this record. If you had a chance to go to those shows, I really hope you all enjoyed yourself. I wasn't able to go, but I was able to go to his 50th birthday party and Cinquanta, and I love what they were doing on stage. Just the revolving drums sets that, they're on these rolling stages, and each band just kind of taking its turn and really just throwing a party on stage. They were great events. My only beef with this record, and it's tough to even bring it up because it doesn't feel like a wasted moment on this record. And I feel like none of these tracks drag on, overstay their welcome. But I will say, I think just being a fan of the authentic one disc vinyl experience, The Algorithm is a cool track. It's a great way to close. But if you remove this one, and that's kind of why I mentioned 7-1 as a track that could be a closer, and trim this thing down a little bit, I think that going tracks 1 through 5, starting with Thrust, and then finishing with a Public Stoning, and then you lead the B-side off with The Quiet Parts, and then finish that B-side with 7-1. If they'd found a way to maybe just tighten things up a little bit, I think it would have provided for an overall better listening experience. But this day and age, most people are streaming, right? So I'm not super concerned about the way this thing plays out on the 2 disc wax. I think, starting with tracks 1 through 3 and then 4, 5, and 6 on that second A side, and then you get 7, 8, and 9 on the C side, and then 7, 1 in the algorithm to finish that D side. It still has great continuity. It still plays out pretty well. That's just a preference of mine. I'm not going to let it diminish my thoughts of this record, which is stunning. And it's really great to see Puscifer move into a phase of their existence where they're playing with so much confidence and an awareness of what they want to be and who they are. It may have taken 2 decades to get there. And again, I mentioned some of those early album titles, and the origins of this project really felt like, Maynard didn't have a focus. He didn't have a goal. He just wanted to get things out there, but it feels so focused and so spot on now. And I really think this record sets a true example for what alternative rock should sound like moving through the back half of this decade. I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10. I can't wait to go pick it up on the wax. I really hope that you find this review helpful and that all of you enjoy listening to this project. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit your notification button so that you know when new album reviews show up. If you're feeling generous, drop a super chat, hype this thing up, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2026. And stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.